Raj had worked 3 years on his startup idea. The prototype was perfect, the business plan was solid, investors were interested. All he needed to do was make one phone call to set up the final pitch meeting. But instead, he stared at his phone for 2 hours, then decided he needed to refine the proposal just a little more. 6 months later, his competitor launched the exact same idea and became a millionaire. What stopped Raj wasn't fear of failure. He'd already failed at 2 previous ventures and bounced back stronger each time. What paralyzed him was something far more complex and far more common, the terror of actually succeeding. And if you've ever found yourself sabotaging your own opportunities when you're on the verge of a breakthrough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Subscribe to Marjan Al-Nahlar and comment your favorite topic below. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Your fear of success isn't a personality flaw or a sign of weakness. It's actually your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do. The problem is, it's using ancient survival programming to navigate modern challenges, and the results can be devastating to your potential. Think about it from your brain's perspective. For thousands of years, standing out from the group, being different, or rising above others could literally get you killed. If you were the person with more resources, you became a target. If you achieved something others hadn't, you risked being cast out from the tribe, and being alone in the ancient world was essentially a death sentence. Your subconscious mind still operates on these primitive rules. When you're about to achieve something significant, it sends alarm signals. Danger! You're about to become visible. You're about to be different. People will notice you, judge you, potentially reject you. It's trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. This is why you might find yourself making careless mistakes right before important presentations, or why you suddenly lose motivation when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Your brain isn't sabotaging you out of malice. It's trying to protect you from what it perceives as mortal danger. But here's the cruel irony. In today's world, staying small is often more dangerous than standing out. When you consistently underachieve, you don't just miss opportunities. You start to lose faith in yourself. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't follow through, who doesn't take chances, who settles for less. And that self-image becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that's far more limiting than any risk that comes with success. Success doesn't just change your circumstances. It forces you to confront a fundamental question. Who are you when you're no longer the person struggling to make it? This identity crisis is at the heart of why so many people unconsciously sabotage their own progress. When you're working toward success, you have a clear role. You're the person with dreams, the underdog fighting against the odds, the one with potential yet to be realized. There's something comforting about this identity. People root for you. They want to help. They forgive your mistakes because you're still figuring it out. But success strips away this protective identity. Suddenly, you're expected to have answers. People look to you for guidance. Your mistakes carry more weight because you're supposed to know better. The sympathy and support that came with struggle gets replaced with expectation and scrutiny. This transition can feel like losing yourself. Maybe you've always been the funny one who deflects serious conversations with humor, but now your success demands that you engage with weighty topics. Perhaps you've defined yourself as someone who doesn't care about money, but your achievements bring financial abundance that changes your lifestyle and options. Each of these changes creates internal tension. Are you evolving into your true self, or are you becoming someone you don't recognize? The uncertainty can be paralyzing. It feels safer to remain consistently yourself, even if that self is struggling, than to risk becoming a stranger to yourself. Your brain observes this identity confusion and draws a logical conclusion. Success threatens your sense of self, so it whispers suggestions to keep you in familiar territory. Maybe this opportunity isn't quite right for you. Maybe you should wait until you're more prepared. Maybe this isn't who you really are. These thoughts feel like wisdom, but they're actually fear dressed up as prudence. Perhaps the most painful aspect of success fear is the realization that achievement can be isolating. As you grow and evolve, you inevitably outgrow some relationships, and this prospect can be terrifying enough to keep you from pursuing your potential altogether. Success often means your daily concerns become different from those of people around you. The problems you face, the decisions you make, the opportunities you consider, they exist in a different realm from where your friends and family operate. This isn't because you've become arrogant or disconnected. It's simply because different circumstances create different realities. When you can no longer relate to the conversations that used to feel important. When your old social circle starts treating you differently. When people make comments like, "must be nice," with underlying resentment. The loneliness can be crushing. Your brain, recognizing this pattern, might conclude that success costs you the relationships that give life meaning. This fear is amplified when you come from a background where success is rare or viewed with suspicion. You might worry about leaving people behind or becoming someone your family and friends no longer recognize. The guilt of having opportunities others don't, combined with the fear of losing your support system, can create internal conflict powerful enough to sabotage even your most promising prospects. But what this fear doesn't account for is that staying small to preserve relationships often damages them anyway. When you consistently limit yourself to make others comfortable, resentment builds. You start to feel frustrated with the very people you're trying to protect, and they sense your withdrawal even if they don't understand its cause. The truth is that real relationships can withstand your growth. The people who truly care about you want to see you succeed, even if it means your dynamic changes. And while success might cost you some connections, it also opens doors to new relationships with people who can meet you at your new level of development. But your brain, focused on the immediate threat of loss, often can't see these future possibilities. The first step to overcoming success fear isn't fighting it. It's learning to recognize how it shows up in your specific life. Self-sabotage rarely announces itself clearly. Instead, it disguises itself as perfectionism, procrastination, or simply being practical. Understanding your personal patterns is crucial for breaking free from them. Start paying attention to what happens when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Do you suddenly become obsessed with perfecting details that don't really matter? Do you create unnecessary drama or complications that demand your attention? Maybe you accept opportunities and then find ways to make them more difficult than they need to be. Or you say yes to too many things, ensuring you're too scattered to excel at what matters most. Some people sabotage by becoming extremely busy with less important tasks right before major deadlines. Others start doubting whether they really want what they've been working toward. Many find reasons to delay, waiting for better timing that never seems to come. The key is to observe these patterns without judgment. Your subconscious isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you from perceived threats. Keep a simple awareness log for a week. Whenever you feel resistance to taking action on something important, write down what the resistance feels like and what thoughts are running through your mind. You'll start to see patterns in how your success fear expresses itself. Maybe you always find logical reasons to postpone important conversations. Perhaps you consistently underestimate how long projects will take, setting yourself up for rushed, imperfect results. Once you can see your patterns clearly, you can start addressing the underlying fears instead of just fighting the symptoms. The goal isn't to eliminate self-sabotage completely. It's to recognize it quickly so you can make conscious choices about how to respond. When you catch yourself in a familiar pattern, you can pause and ask, what am I actually afraid of here? What would happen if I moved forward anyway? One of the most powerful ways to overcome success sabotage is helping your brain understand that achieving your potential is actually safer than staying small. This requires consciously examining the real risks of both paths and presenting your subconscious with more accurate information about what's actually dangerous. Instead of thinking about success as some vague, overwhelming concept, get specific about what it would actually involve in your situation. What concrete skills would you need to develop? What specific challenges would you face? What would actually change in your daily life? Most of the time, when you examine success closely, it's far less threatening than your imagination suggests. The fear of increased responsibility, for example, assumes you'd have to handle everything perfectly from day one. But responsibility typically increases gradually, giving you time to develop necessary skills and systems. The fear of visibility assumes everyone will be watching and judging your every move. But most people are too focused on their own lives to scrutinize yours as intensely as you imagine. Now, honestly, assess the risks of staying where you are. What opportunities are you missing by playing small? What skills aren't you developing? How is limiting yourself affecting your self-respect, your relationships, your financial security, your sense of fulfillment? Often, when you compare the real risks objectively, staying small is actually more dangerous long-term. It just feels safer because it's familiar. Create a realistic vision of what success would look like day to day. How would you spend your time? What problems would you be solving? What would your relationships look like? The more concrete your vision, the less your subconscious will see success as a vague threat, and the more it can recognize it as a specific, manageable outcome. Remember, your brain needs evidence that you can handle success-like situations. Start collecting proof of your resilience by documenting challenges you've already navigated, changes you've adapted to, problems you've solved. You're more capable than your fear suggests, but your brain needs reminders. Just like building physical fitness, you can gradually build your psychological tolerance for success. This involves exposing yourself to elements of success that trigger fear, but in small enough doses that you can handle them without overwhelming your system. If visibility feels scary, start putting yourself in slightly more visible situations. Speak up more in meetings, share your opinions on social media. Volunteer to present at small gatherings. Each positive experience builds evidence that being seen doesn't lead to catastrophe. If increased responsibility feels overwhelming, take on small additional responsibilities and prove to yourself you can handle them well. Practice what psychologists call success rehearsal. Mentally walk through scenarios where you achieve your goals and handle the consequences gracefully. Visualize yourself managing new challenges with competence, maintaining important relationships despite changes in circumstances, and staying grounded despite external recognition. Your brain learns from imagined experiences almost as much as real ones. Build support systems before you need them. If you're worried about maintaining relationships, start having honest conversations about your goals with people you care about. Explain that your growth doesn't mean you value them less. If you're concerned about handling new responsibilities, develop better organizational systems and decision-making processes now. Most importantly, start redefining what success means to you personally. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's version. Success might mean using your talents in service of something meaningful, having the freedom to make choices based on your values, or simply showing up as your fullest self consistently.
When you define success in alignment with your authentic values, rather than external expectations, it becomes something to embrace rather than fear. The goal isn't to eliminate fear entirely. Some nervousness about growth is natural and even helpful. The goal is reducing fear to manageable levels, so it informs your decisions without controlling them.
Success will still involve challenges, but with proper preparation and gradual exposure, these become problems to solve rather than threats to avoid. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling afraid and choosing to act in alignment with your values anyway. Every small step you take builds the foundation for bigger steps. The most successful people aren't those who never feel scared. They're those who have learned to feel the fear and move forward regardless. So here we are, back to Raj staring at his phone, paralyzed by the prospect of success. But now you understand what was really happening in that moment. It wasn't laziness or lack of ambition that stopped him. It was an ancient survival mechanism trying to protect him from imagined dangers that don't exist in our modern world. The fear of success isn't something to be ashamed of or to push through with brute force. It's a natural human response to the very real psychological challenges that come with growth and achievement. The identity shifts, the relationship changes, the increased visibility and responsibility. These aren't trivial concerns. They're legitimate challenges that deserve acknowledgement and preparation. But what we've discovered is that these challenges are manageable. More than that, they're They're often less difficult than the alternative of staying small. The frustration of unexpressed potential, the weight of self-sabotage, the gradual erosion of self-respect that comes from consistently choosing safety over growth. These create their own form of suffering that's often more painful than the temporary discomfort of expansion. The people who break through their success fear aren't those who feel no fear. They're those who have learned to recognize their sabotage patterns, reframe their relationship with achievement, and gradually build their tolerance for the discomfort that comes with becoming who they're meant to be. Your version of success doesn't have to match anyone else's definition. It doesn't require you to become someone you're not or abandon everything you value. Real success is about expressing your authentic capabilities in service of something meaningful to you. It's about choosing growth over comfort, possibility over certainty, your full potential over a smaller version of yourself. The next time you find yourself hesitating before a significant opportunity, remember Raj's story. Remember that the fear you're feeling isn't evidence that you're not ready. It's evidence that you're about to grow beyond your current limitations. That discomfort isn't a warning to retreat. It's a signal that you're moving towards something important. Start where you are, with what you have. Notice your patterns. Challenge your assumptions about what success would actually involve. Build your tolerance gradually. Most importantly, remember that your potential isn't just about you. It's about what you can contribute when you're operating at your highest level. The world needs what you have to offer when you're fully expressed, not when you're playing small to manage your own fears or other people's comfort. Your willingness to pursue your potential creates permission for others to do the same. So what's your version of that phone call? What opportunity have you been avoiding? Because success feels more terrifying than failure. What would you attempt if you knew your fear was just an outdated protection system, not an accurate assessment of real danger? The choice is yours. But now you know what you're really choosing between: expansion or contraction, growth or stagnation, the full expression of your capabilities, or a life spent wondering what might have been. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Marjan Al-Nahlar for more insights into overcoming the psychological barriers that keep us from our potential. Comment below with your favorite topic. Your input helps me create content that truly serves your journey toward authentic success. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. It's to feel it and choose growth anyway. Your future self is counting on the decision you make today.